Who has ever done the Harvard outline before? All right, so some of you are brand new to it, which is good that you're here because when you start the school year in the fall, you'll have to kind of know what the Harvard outline is and how to take notes. So when you read your textbooks for a lot of your classes, particularly social studies, not so much the English classes, you'll have to do it in this format. If you have AP, who's going to be a senior? Who had AP language last year? Did you have to do outlines for essays or anything like that? No? Okay. Well, maybe you would want to use the essay or this format to write your essays anyways. So what it is, ultimately, it's the way to take notes for your textbooks. And I have a pad here for you. It has my name and the room number on it in case in the school year comes around, especially the beginning, your teacher's talking about Harvard outline, you're like, I don't remember any of it, what that is. You can come back and talk to me or talk to anybody that's ever done it before, because a lot of you have. And a lot of you just kind of continually do it year after year after year. Who's going to be an AP Euro? All right, just two. I don't know if Ms. Cash is going to have you do it. She probably will. AP US or Honors US? You'll definitely have to do it. AP Government. Okay, strongly recommended. AP Econ. Also strongly recommended. AP Psych. All right, cool kids. You'll have to do it for me. All right. So, once again, the important thing to note is how to do this. Some of your teachers may do a variation of the Harvard outline. I know mine's a little bit different than Mr. Duckworth because he has you a statement of significance. Is that what it's called? Yes. You don't have to do that for me, but he'll go over it, and your other teachers that have other AP classes, social studies, will go over specifically how they want it done. The important thing to know is really how do I structure it all, not so much about, because some teachers have you do lowercase i's, lowercase I, lowercase I, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's really all the same. It's really how it all should be.
Wait, so what is a Harvard outline?
It's how, when you're reading your textbook and taking notes. What AP class are you taking next year?
AP language and then AP physics, biology.
So you don't know AP
AP.
social studies?
No.
Good. You may not have to do it then. I don't know if language or physics are going to do it.
Honors US.
Are you taking Honors US?
Mm-hmm.
Then definitely. So when you read that really big textbook, it's really big, right? Honors US. This is how you'll have to take your notes when they're due. So if you're reading chapter by chapter, that's how Mr. Duckman will have you set it up, as will I and other teachers and so on. The important thing is what the Roman numerals are. Is the most general, vague, or broad topic it can be, like causes of the Civil War, let's say. So that's all you would put here. So it's kind of a very general statement. And then as you get further and further, as the letters, the numbers, it's just the more and more details that you will have to write about. Okay? So let's say one of the causes of the Civil War is what? Anybody? I know you didn't want to think about AP or such stuff. But what's one of the causes of the Civil War? Slavery. Okay? So part A here, you would write slavery. That's, once again, it's pretty general, although it is one of the causes. And then as you get here, whether it's the numbers or the lowercase Roman numerals, that's when you talk about specifically slavery. If you want to talk about what the North opinion on slavery was, what the Southern opinion on slavery was, that's where your details would go. That's where your vocab might go, your definitions might go, the people that come up might go. That's where it would all be. And then if I'm doing part B, another cause, let's say, is economic reasons or economic policies. And then you talk about what the North, how they base their economy, and how the South base their economy, and so on. And then you would just write your details after that. If, let me find my book. If there is charts, graphs, anything like that, Stephanie will say, I don't know how many, if you did a lot of these charts and graphs in your notes. This is the neurotransmitters, which is an important part of Unit 2 for my class. Okay? It talks about 6 different neurotransmitters, what they do and what happens if you don't have enough or if you have too much of it. So that is important to keep in your notes for a couple of reasons. Number one, for me, you can use your notes on your quizzes. Okay? So if it asks you a question about dopamine, you look at this part of your chart that you drew dopamine, or you wrote about it, then I can help you answer the question. Even when you're studying for your test, you could go back and look, and I always tell them, go back and look at this, because it's very important to know the neurotransmitters. Because it'll come up throughout the year again. We'll talk about sleep, we'll talk about psychopath disorders, and so on. So you might want to incorporate those things. When we do correlations in my class, positive and negative correlations, you have to know kind of what they look like. Even on some of my quizzes, I might ask you to draw a positive correlation. I can't remember exactly what it is right now. But, there it is. Okay, we have a positive correlation, no correlation, negative correlation. So you would draw those in there. Or even in government, if you're doing political cartoons, if you're analyzing those things. And it's important to know how to do that and incorporate it into your notes as well. Okay? I know a lot of your texts will have vocab bolded or the terms that we define on the side. You know, that's also what you need to include in there. The more and more you take your notes and you get quizzed and tested on them, you'll know exactly what you should, or for the most part, what you should incorporate into your notes. Now, when you're doing this, another important thing to note is how it's formatted in terms of the indentions. If you look, your Roman numerals should be all the way on the left, and then the A should be indented, and then the 1 should be indented, 1, 2, 3, 4. But if you look at B, it's right under A. And then Roman numeral 2, which is further down, would be right under Roman numeral 1. Okay? Why is it better to do it with the indentions like this? Why do you think it's better to do it that way? Okay, it separates it, so why is it important to keep it separated too, though? Locate them easier? Okay, it draws your attention to it as well. So if my Roman numeral 1 is all about the cause of the Civil War, I know exactly where in my notes they are, whether I'm using them on a quiz or I'm studying for a test. I know exactly where the cause is, and it's all right in this little area here. Okay? I've had students over the years, they don't indent anything. They don't skip any lines. It's a bunch of ink on paper, and I look through it, and I'm like, where is all this? So they don't separate anything. And it's harder, in my opinion, it would be harder for you to look at it, to read it, even when you get to use them on my quizzes, which are timed. So you don't have all the time in the world to look at your notes. You might only have 10 minutes, 12 minutes to look at it. So if you're separating it, if it'll pop out at you, I recommend students they skip a line between every Roman numeral. So here's Roman numeral 1, skip a line, here's Roman numeral 2, here's Roman numeral 3, and so on. Now, every class is different, so what you put in your Roman numerals will vary. From what I've heard, for US, it's kind of easy to figure out. You have like little subheadings in each of the chapters. In mine, your Roman numerals are based on the objective, okay? And so, like objective 1 in module 1 is define psychology. So what would I put for Roman numeral 1, define psychology? A, I would put the word psychology. What do you think I put for number 1? The definition of psychology. Okay? That's pretty easy to kind of break it down. And there's more information. It talks about what mental processes are, what behaviors are, and so on, which you could also incorporate down here. Okay? Now, how do I know I should go on to the next objective? Yes, you could just say, well, next Roman numeral. Well, you say, well, I'm done reading it. I'm going to move on to the next. What should you do before you move on to the next? Absolutely. Make sure you have all the important information. Make sure that you've answered the objective. If it asks you to label or talk about the 2 major divisions of the nervous system, the 3 major neurons, make sure it's all in there. And if you have to talk about cause of the Civil War, make sure you've listed all the causes and you've taken notes on. And not only that, do you understand what you just took notes on? How many of you have ever been reading a book, a novel, let's say, and then you're like, what did I just read for the last 3 pages? And then you go back, and then you got to do it again. Same thing with taking notes. You can read and take notes and get it all done, like, oh, finally finished. But you have no idea what you took notes on. How is that helping you? It's helping your 15% grade, which is a small part. But when it comes down to the test, and it's 65%, and you're thinking, I don't know. I don't know any of this. I don't remember this. Well, it's because you only read to take notes. You didn't read it to understand. And that's the important part. Situation when you're reading, that, you know what, I have 30 pages of notes due at the end of the week, and I'm going to do them the night before, the morning of, lunch period, the class before. And I'll show you, yeah, that's me, right? Procrastinators.
Got that.
Some of us just give up after a while and stop doing it, which I don't recommend.
That's true.
Okay? If you take my class, you will get to know that my book is broken a little bit different. Okay? It's not big chapters, it's shorter modules, which helps you actually break up the information a little bit better. Okay? So if you were to take this class as opposed to like AP US or AP Gov, you might have to do notes a little bit more often, but it helps you in the long run. There's a term that we use in psychology that helps you improve your memory. It's called the spacing effect.
Oh.
Ah, all right. Whew. 3 for 3 on that. Remember what it is now?
Yes.
What is it it'll say?
When you study something like more, like for example, you'll study it one day and then instead of study it for several days instead of cramming one whole study session.
Yeah. So if you have 30 pages of notes due, or you have a test at the end of the week, instead of doing it the night before, or the morning of, or lunch, whenever you decide to do it, you space it out. If it's Sunday night and I have notes due Friday, and I have 30 pages, instead of waiting to Thursday, how many pages of notes could I do every night leading up to that? 5 to 6 pages of notes, right? It seems less daunting of a task to do 5 or 6 pages of notes every day as opposed to just trying to cram it on. Or even, as Ilse was talking about, studying is the same thing. If you study a little bit every night over that week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks of a unit, you will retain more information. We all want to improve our memories, right? We all wish we could just remember every single thing we've ever learned, but it doesn't work. Most of us aren't wired that way. I know what procrastination's all about. I've done that. And the way it really affected me, I wish I would have known this when I was a freshman in high school. I didn't really learn about it until I was a junior in college back in the fall of 2000. During the presidential election, I had to take a government class called the American Presidency. And we had to write a paper. It was 20 to 25 pages due at the end of the semester. How many would wait to the end? No. You'd wait till the last week. All right, maybe not the night before, but we had to do the paper in 4 sections: an intro, a lit review, an opinion, and a conclusion. So in September, I had to do the intro. I had like 5 pages due. In October, I had 5 more pages due. And in November, I had 5 more. And then in December, I had to have the final product. So what did that force us ultimately to do? Space it out. We had to do a little bit at a time. Did it seem that daunting after a while? No. I thought when I heard a 20 to 25 page paper, I was like, I've never written anything that big. Then by the end, I was like, I just wrote something that big. I didn't do it all at once, though. I had to space it out. We had to turn it in for points every month, a certain section of the essay, of the paper. And it helped me out so much more doing it that way. Because I would have been the kid who did it the week before, and the week of, or done my best to do it the night before. The 3 R's: read, record, and recite. Once again, if you're just reading to take notes, you're defeating the purpose. You're getting great, you're getting the 15%. I had students every year who they do great on it, they do every single one of their notes. 100%, and that 15% of their grade. And then the quizzes, which you get to use your notes, you know, they do fine. They get A's, B's, maybe C here and there. Then they have tests and they get C's and D's. What happened? They might not have spaced it out. They might not have studied, or they might not have really retained or tried to understand what they were reading about. Okay? So it's important to read for the information and understand what it's all about. If there's something in your book that you don't know, what the author's talking about, what should you do? Should you just ignore it and move on? No. What could you do? Talk to your teacher. What else could you do? Look it up on the internet. How many use Crash Course on YouTube? How many of you have ever heard of this? If you don't know what it is, it's done by, who are those guys? The Green Brothers?
Yeah.
The guy who wrote Fault in Our Stars? John Green. Is that his name?
That is the guy that wrote it.
It's him and his brother.
Oh.
And they do one for psychology. Have you used it for other classes?
We don't look for
For AP US? Okay.
AP Bio and then AP Gov.
AP Bio and Gov. They have their own website. If you go on YouTube and just type in crash course, and whatever the subject is, let's say, you know, it's the nervous system. So they're going to have an episode on it, and they explain it all, and you can go back and look at it. So use those sources, or ask your teacher. What I ask my students a lot is to highlight their notes. Not all of them do it, I just recommend it, I don't require it. Then maybe their vocab words are highlighted in yellow, or their people are blue, and the questions or the things they don't understand, highlight it in, let's say, pink. So if I'm checking your notes and I see something that's highlighted pink, I might ask you, what didn't you get right here? Or I have, you know, asked her in class, what didn't you get? Because 9 times out of 10, you're not the only one who doesn't get it. And far too often, you guys just forget about it, and you don't ask it, and then you just, you know, that's the question that's on the FRQ then, or on the DBQ, or on the, what, LAQs in US now? SAQs, LAQs, whatever.
SAQs.
SAQs. Short answer questions?
Yeah.
So that might be the one that comes out, you know, I wish I would have asked him or her about it, but I forgot. Well, highlight it in pink or write a note to ask in class. I may cover it, I may not. I might not have the chance to get to it, but I hope that if you do not know, you would have the opportunity to ask me. I'm not going to blow you off, say, no, I'm not going to answer that. No, I'll help you out in terms of answering that. Okay? The other part about reading, recording was to note taking, reciting. My opinion, the best way to learn something is to have to teach it to somebody else. Because you really have to be the expert. You have to know what you're talking about when you're explaining to someone. So ask your siblings, ask your mom, your dad, hey, can I explain this? Does this make sense when I explain this term to you? Or even say it out loud yourself. Just say it, recite it, because if you're saying it out loud and you're reading it and you're looking at it, and when you take the test, at least you have a couple of different things that you did. You spoke, you know, you have the auditory clue, which is how you said it out loud, and you have the visual, how you read about it. Then it'll help you retain information. Okay? And then the SQ3R, in terms of just studying, you know, go back, use your notes. I've had students year after year tell me they don't know how to study. And I'm surprised by that. Juniors and seniors don't know how to study. I would have thought you would have learned that by now. But apparently some of you don't, which is fine. And it's learning what works for you, whether it's flashcards, whether it's having somebody quiz you at home, whether it's just rewriting your notes, rereading the chapter, rereading the book. How many of your classes offer study guides? I'm sure a lot of them do, right? Yeah, I have study guides for mine. It's not to say that's the only thing you can use, but it'll help. Okay? And go over whatever you didn't quite understand. Like I said, use the internet. Just make sure you're using the right websites. Don't always trust everything.